and welcome. I'm Harriet Agbemi. Tonight, Nigerians vote for governors. Observers say turnout was low. President Jonathan passes card reader test as president-elect casts his vote in Daura, Katsina State. Reports of violence in Rivers, Abia and Akwa Ibom states. INEC says results for areas where there is violence will be cancelled. And Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka calls for investigation into allegations of election manipulation in some states. Governorship elections have held in 29 states, and the people's decision is expected to bring about some new faces and perhaps a few old ones at the end of the day. Elections also held for the House of Assembly in 36 states across the Federation. Information from the Office of the Electoral Umpire shows that 6,050 candidates contested for various positions, from which 760 candidates vied for governorship and 5,290 for the State Assembly. Although results have been expected and collation on in some states, there are reports of violence in Rivers, Abia and Akwa Ibom states. There are generally reports of low turnout of voters, but despite that, reports from across the country shows optimism for a fairly impressive exercise. The President, Goodluck Jonathan, showed up at polling unit 039 at Otubola constituency in Bayelsa State, where he cast his votes just before 2 o'clock today. Although his accreditation was without hitches, 8 polling stations in Oromo local government faced difficulties with accreditation following a fight between supporters of 2 major political parties.
Everything appears to be normal in the early hours of the morning in Otubola constituency, Unit 039. And unlike the long waits by the president during the presidential election, the card this time recognized the president's thumb as it was promptly accredited. In 8 other wards in our local government area, specifically Oroma community, accreditation was not as smooth as the 2 leading political parties engaged in disagreements leading to disruption of the process.
If there are no materials, then there should be no accreditation. There will be no election. That's okay. I told the next time, well, don't make trouble. If they don't allow you to vote, then leave them. Sit down and watch. When they allow you, you walk.
Meanwhile, INEC Commissioner in the state reacts to the disruption of accreditation in 8 polling units in Oroma community.
It is not our practice to take ward collation result sheet to polling unit where voting is taking place. Like it is named, it is meant for collation at the ward level. And if there are a number of units that make up a ward, if we now decide to take a ward collation sheet to a unit, how many units can one single result sheet go to? And we tried, including my humble self, tried to explain to them that that is not the proper thing. The EO went there and explained to them that is not the proper thing. They refused.
But at the president's ward in the Otubola constituency, everything seems to have gone smoothly as he returns to cast his vote.
Citizens must be ready to change government properly. We must do elections every 4 years. We're voting for only the state houses of assembly now in Bayelsa State. There's no governorship elections in Bayelsa State. Some other states, they have governorship elections. The stakes will be higher. The turnout may be a bit better because the level of mobilization will be quite high. But here, it's just state houses of assembly. And probably that's why you don't see that kind of enthusiasm and so on and so forth. But I'm quite happy. I've done my own civic duty and I expect all of you to do the same.
Besides the reports of disruption of votes in the Oroma community, the exercise so far was peacefully conducted in most parts of Bayelsa State. Victoria Ido, reporting for Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the president-elect, General Muhammadu Buhari, was among the early voters in his own town in Daura, Katsina State. After going through the accreditation and casting of votes, the president-elect told journalists that he is satisfied with the exercise, particularly the improvement recorded by the card reader.
They are getting more efficient, or they make sure the machines are now working more efficiently than previously.
Are you satisfied with the preparation of the INEC?
Yes, from what I heard over the radio this morning from 6 to 7 in the morning, it would appear that all constituencies have been effectively covered.
President-elect General Muhammadu Buhari. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo also cast his vote today at his ward in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. He arrived at the polling booth, acknowledging cheers from admirers before walking straight into the INEC polling booth, where he cast his vote before addressing journalists on his views about the election.
I think, on the whole, Nigerians should be proud of their performance on this election. On the whole, there were apprehensions, and maybe understandably so, because of those who are beating the drum of war, the drum of if this happened, that will happen. But God took control, and people who expected a big bang, they didn't even get a whimper.
We thank God for that.
We thank God for that, and we should all be proud of ourselves. We have done that for ourselves. We have done it for West Africa. We've done it for Africa, and we can lift up our heads and say yes. And this is another first in the history of Nigeria, and I believe that we are gradually maturing in our democracy and democratic process.
Former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Well, the governorship candidates have been speaking about the voting process. For most of them, the process has been largely one of mixed feelings, but they are optimistic of a credible outcome. The day dawned bright and clear, with voters turning out to pick their state executives. The beginning of the process had mixed reports.
I'm satisfied with what I have seen in my polling units, because we have two polling units in the same place, and then the turnout here is like the one that we had in the presidential election.
But we've been assured by the police and the army that they have enough security on the ground to forestall any violence. So I'm calling on our voters to all come out and exercise their civic right.
Voting begins, and it's deemed largely peaceful.
I'm very appreciative of the security agencies for their effectiveness. And you could see that even without seeing many security men around, our people have been very peaceful, orderly. And I think the process is commendable, really. And one must give kudos to INEC, no matter what. Whether you win or you lose, you should not condemn INEC for this commendable process.
Disturbing incidents were recorded in some states.
The most disturbing report that I've had so far has been the incident in Ondo East, where a particular candidate unleashed terror and mayhem on the people. As a matter of fact, the report we had was that there was shooting all night and even this morning. We've alerted the security agencies. My report is that the place is calm. Those hoodlums are on the run, but the security agencies are after them.
In some cases, the battery went flat and they use the generator to revive it, and that when it's revived now, it's asking for the code. And the most important one is that the ballot papers were found to have been tampered with.
I kept getting calls that, oh, there were no elections in my place because we didn't see INEC or there were no material. So it seems that they shifted from trying to collect or run away with the material from the polling units. They now went to the collection centers and were disappearing. And then by the time they scared the INEC staff sufficiently at the collection centers, everybody disappeared.
Did the elections hold in Akwa Ibom State?
We had skirmishes in one or two units. And coincidentally, the places where we met arrest, you'll be shocked that a very senior officer of the state, what we may call an elder statesman, above 70 years, the retired Major General.
As votes are collated and the electorates anxiously wait for the winners to be announced, the gladiators ask that the results be peacefully accepted in the interest of nation building. In part 2, after the break, Professor Wole Soyinka praises INEC over conduct of 2015 elections. Do stay with us.